North Central here. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm back out here in my backyard little garden area, and you know, there's a lot of things that I need to take care of here. I was on vacation last week down in Tennessee. I did put a video up about a hike that I did up in the Smoky Mountains with my daughter and one of her friends. You can check that out if you want to. But I'm back now. I got back very late Friday, and on Saturday I had to work all day, and then Sunday I was so tired that I was kind of lazed around and didn't really do a whole lot. Of course, yesterday was Monday, the end of June, and I went ahead and of course went to work because I do have a 40-hour-a-week job that usually turns into somewhere around 50 or 55 hours a week. So I got home, and you know, the weather wasn't cooperating real well, so I ended up just getting as much grass mowed as I possibly could. Didn't really do much here, and by the time that I got off the mower it was dark, and I don't really have any lighting out here, so I left it for today, and now here we are. It's August 1st, 2017, and we're going to give you another little quick walk around tour, but mostly I need to go through my tomato plants and desucker. I need to go through my pepper plants and make sure everything's okay there. I need to try and self-pollinate some of the flowers that are on both the tomato and the peppers. I just got done picking some green beans. I got them inside in the refrigerator to get them out of the heat because it is kind of humid and hot today. It's about 85 to 90 degrees out. But I want to show you peppers, tomatoes, and just kind of do a quick little go around tour. Okay, not going to spend a whole lot of time on any one variety, maybe 15-20 seconds per variety that I have on the little tiny bit that I do have. So stick around, that's coming up next. This is some compost that I've got. I got it out of my composter. I'm got it here sitting on my deck on a piece of black trash bag, and I'm just letting it dry out. I'm going to leave it overnight, let it dry tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to be a pretty clear day, nice, hot, and sunny. Dry this stuff out, grind it up real nice and fine, and I'm going to put some cow manure compost with it, and then I'm going to put it on my garden beds. My peppers and tomatoes and stuff like that are a little bit malnutritioned right now. Like I said, whenever I started in planting stuff, I put a little bit of this and a little bit of other compost stuff in the ground, but I didn't really do any other soil amendments or fertilizers or anything like that with it. And so I need to get some compost in and around the plants, so that's why this is here. So as we come across, watch your step. Obviously we're here at my composter. I got the compost sitting on the deck drying out. I've got the lid of this thing up, drying what's inside here out. There's really not a whole lot inside. I used a lot whenever I was planting, but what I do have, I'm going to dry it out a little bit more, put into a 5-gallon bucket once it's dried, and save it for next year. And then I'm going to start putting grass in here and composting it and letting it set over the winter time and compost really good on into the spring. I always do that every year. Right now, as I mow, I have a bagger on my mower, so most of it actually goes up to the corner of my property that way, and it just kind of sits there, and either next year or the year after I'm going to go in there and furrow it all up and take the bottom layers of it and really make a good compost out of it. But that's going to set for at least another year, maybe two. So let's get into the vegetables, and like I said, just a quick little run around. This is a early jalapeno by Burpee. First one on the list. It's got a lot of little peppers all over it. Not going to zoom in or nothing because I'm sure you can probably see them with my hands there. Nice peppers all over it. Still got flowers up here. Beside it here is another jalapeno, not quite as big as this one. This one's really taken off and done well. Same thing with the one right over here to the right. So I got 3 jalapenos straight in a row, still flowering, still putting off peppers. These peppers probably got about another week or so, and I'll be able to pick them. Before I went on vacation, I picked a great big bunch of them, which gave the rest of them that were little time to grow. So all 3 jalapeno peppers doing very well. All the way down here to the right is a bell pepper, and it's got 2 nice bell peppers on it, and then up here at the top it's got a lot of little flower pods that are getting ready to bloom. Hopefully they will bloom and this thing can be loaded with some bell peppers, but we'll wait and see. that's this bed. Let's go on over to the next bed. Alright guys, so we're in the next bed. This bed is a little bit more nutrient insufficient than the other bed. That's why it's got a lot of yellow leaves on the peppers, and the pepper plants themselves aren't quite as big as what's in this one right here that we just went over. But it still does have some bell peppers. Again, this is the bell pepper. It is the Emerald Giant, same as the one that was over here. And it's got peppers on it, and again, it's got some flowers here at the top that hopefully are going to come in. When I get the compost on it, hopefully that gives it the nutrients that it's going to need to boost it up and do it. I still have some pretty good time for production. And like I said, it is only August 1st, so we'll see. These are the Peperoncinis or pepper whatever they are, the Greek peppers. And I picked a bunch of these again before I left on vacation, right after I did the other video that I did. And so they don't have a lot of peppers on them right now, but they do have a lot of little flower pods that they're hopefully are going to be producing peppers. I tried one of these, and quite frankly, I'm not real fond of the taste of them, but I think they would be a good pickle. So I'm going to do a video on pickling these and then seeing how those are done, because everything's better pickled, right? So 3 plants of it. Even though they're little, it is a pretty prolific plant. It does put out a lot of peppers. So they're kind of a sweet pepper. I didn't really notice any heat with them at all, but yeah, they are kind of what they are. So let's get to the tomatoes. 4 varieties in it, and we'll go over them real quick. Okay, so first one up right here, 1, 2, and 3. These are the Brandywines, and they are doing really well. I had to take the leaves off the bottom. They are turning yellow and starting to die off, probably because they're a little bit more under nutritioned, and because I wasn't here all last week to water them real well. So I take a lot of them off. You will still see the occasional bad looking leaf, and I've been picking them off as we go, but I like to keep them anything below the fruit down off of them. The fruit actually starts about right here, so all these leaves right here could actually come off. I want tomatoes. I don't really want a whole lot of foliage. The plant's putting a lot of nutrients into keeping these leaves nice and green and stuff. I'll take the upper ones, but the lower ones, I'm going to pull most of them off, anything below the fruit. So this is the first Brandywine, and let me bring the camera in and get a close up here real quick. Alright guys, so this is the Brandywine, and as you can see, they've got some really nice big tomatoes. This is the heirloom tomato, so I can save the seeds out of these and not any much for a problem. This one's split, so I'll definitely be saving the seeds out of that one. But these tomatoes, they get really big. I mean, really a nice tomato. 3 of them, 1, 2, and 3 down here. A third one off camera. Again, here's the second one in the row, and very, very nice looking tomato. I'm thinking next year I'm going to do nothing but heirloom tomatoes, probably the Brandywines and the West Virginia 63s, but it's too early to tell that right now because we're still in the middle of this season. Still got a lot of growth and a lot of tomatoes to come off these things. But I want to show you right up here where the flowers are and how I can self-pollinate real quickly. Alright guys, so this is a really big cluster of flowers right here. And I don't try to just leave it to nature and the bees and pollinators and stuff like that to come in here and pollinate. I do have a lot of flowers and stuff with the green beans and stuff like that whenever they come on. But I like to come up here, and it's really pretty simple. You just take your 2 fingers, and it's just kind of or 3 fingers, and it's just kind of a tap. This is what I'm wanting to do. And you can see I'm shaking this thing pretty vigorously. The flowers on the tomatoes are an interesting flower. They have both the male and female parts of it. Okay, it's not like a squash or something where you'll see the little fruit and then have a flower off of it, and then a couple things down you'll have just the flower. Okay, one male, one female. This has both parts. The pollen is up in here, and it will fall down and pollinate, and when it does, it'll form something like this and get a nice little tomato back in there. But when the flower is open like this one right there, see how it's nice and open? This one here, this new flower right here. You can come up here and just shake this entire branch. And if there's other flowers, there's a flower down here, and there's a flower up here. And you can see how it just vibrates them, okay? You can get kind of vigorous with it if you want to. 8 to 10 seconds. Boom. I come out here and I do that every day until I see the flower start to close, okay? Or die off, whichever one happens first. And I get more tomatoes on the plants by doing that than really much anything else. So that's the Brandywine. Let's go right on down here to the steakhouses real quick. And the steakhouse tomatoes, this is a hybrid, and they are just as big as the Brandywines. Put that one back in there where it was. Nice little cluster of 3 here. This one's actually gone over into here. This is actually a steakhouse here. And I've got a little bit of a problem here. This one's got a lot of black on it, some type of a fungus or something. But it's not really affecting the tomatoes really right now, just the leaves and stuff. So I've cleared all the leaves off from the fruit down, and I'm hoping that that's going to take care of it. I'm going to make a solution up and spray on it later. Got another one right here, and of course the Brandywine behind the camera. This one, lots of tomatoes, lots of little tiny tomatoes. Not as many as I would have thought would have come on, but still a good amount of tomatoes. I have topped them. See, here's some suckers that I need to deal with. One there, and this one just needs to be topped. One there. And I have to go through and I have to sucker all these things, or else you know, it's just going to go wild. So let's move the camera on down again, and we'll get some of the gladiators, which are starting to turn a little bit red. Gladiator, not a really big tomato. I was actually kind of surprised. This is another hybrid. But it is a sauce tomato. It does have a nice little oval look to it. I had a couple of other ones that have already turned red off of this first plant right here. They were a lot bigger, or not a lot bigger, but they were a little bit bigger than this. Here's a pretty nice big size one right here. But it does have some pretty good tomatoes on it. Here's another flower that I'm going to self-pollinate real quick. So this is the Gladiator, and not doing too bad. Here's a leaf I can take off. So all in all, looks pretty good. Looks a lot better than the other varieties as far as leaves go. It's still a nice dark green, although it is starting to get a little mangled and stuff down here near the bottom. It's not going to matter because I'm going to take all those leaves off anyways. Let's go over here and take a look at the green beans and the West Virginia 63 tomato, and that will be just about it. All right, so we got all the green beans, and we got some nice green beans. There's one that I missed that I'm going to pick, and you can see the size of that green bean. Pretty good size. A lot of them are even bigger than that. Here's another one that's even bigger that I missed. Nice size to the green beans. Very, very tasty. These are Kentucky Blues, stringless, and I've grown them for a couple seasons now. They're also heirloomed, and I save the seeds on them and replant them. And one thing I found out about saving seeds of things and replanting them for years and years and years and years is that the plant actually becomes accustomed to your zone and where you live at, and how you grow things. So it's actually kind of important to try and save seeds and heirloom stuff as well as you can anyways. Especially for a backyard gardener like myself, who's looking at more along the lines of quality than quantity. Okay. Down here I've got some beets. It's off camera, so let me readjust. All right, so down here I've got some beets, and these beets are not going to do very well, unfortunately. You know, I planted beets in this bed many times. They've all failed. I'm just not getting enough light, even during the summertime. The sun comes up over in that direction, over in the east, and it sets over in this direction in the west. And until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon or so, this is all in shade. And then I've got a bunch of trees back up here where the sun sets, and at about 5:30 or 6, it goes behind the trees. So I'm only getting about 4, maybe 4.5 to 5 hours of actual sunlight on all of this, and it's just not enough for the beets. So over in the front beds where the peppers were, yesterday I went ahead and planted some more beets, and I even planted some black-seeded Simpson. I'm keeping them watered in. They were kind of old seeds, so I'll see if they actually come up. They may or may not, I don't know. But we're going to see anyways. Hopefully the beets will.
and maybe as a fall crop they'll do a lot better than any of these have.
All right, so these are the peppers. This is a jalapeno. This is a bell pepper. This is a bell pepper, and the rest of these are jalapenos. Lots of jalapenos this year. We're doing a lot of hot pepper jelly for friends and family and whatnots. This bell pepper fell over. I had to retie it up to a stake. Same thing with these two jalapenos. They've gotten kind of big as far as foliage goes, but I'm still not seeing any peppers or anything on the bell pepper. It's just not producing. It's got plenty of flowers, but it's just not really producing a whole lot besides the foliage. We'll see. The jalapenos, however, have peppers, and actually have quite a few peppers. So they're doing well. Even the fact that they only get 4.5, 5, maybe 6 hours of sunlight a day, they're still doing fairly decent. Not as well as the ones up front that are in sunlight from about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. So that's why those peppers are up front, because those two beds get the most sunlight. So let me bring the camera on a little bit closer, and we'll go over here to the last tomato, which is the West Virginia 63. Alright, so here's the West Virginia 63. Now this tomato I actually planted almost 3 weeks or so behind all the other ones. That's why it's not as big. It is still growing. I haven't topped it. The other ones I have topped all of them. But as you can see, very prolific little plant, putting off some very nice looking tomatoes. Here's a cluster of 4. Here's another one up here. Here's a cluster of 3 down here. And it's got some more flowers getting ready to open. Here's one here that's going to open. Here's one, a couple up here that's going to be putting on tomatoes pretty soon. So it puts off a lot of tomatoes. I really like this plant. This was developed at West Virginia University strictly for West Virginia and the surrounding area because of the humidity and stuff like that. It's pretty good with blight. I still need to take off some leaves. These have the tendency to, when the leaves come out, they go down the plant and kind of hides everything. So I need to take off some more leaves and stuff. You can see they're getting kind of nasty looking. Even the ones up here are starting to turn yellow and go. But right now I need to get watering some plants. They haven't really seen a good watering since yesterday, and I just lightly watered them then because it was getting very late and I was losing daylight. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my can, put the camera up here, and in fast mode you can see me water some plants, I guess.